You ever wake up and realize that everything's fine? Like not amazing, not tragic, just fine? And that's somehow the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. You're lying there in a soft bed with decent pillows, a phone beside you that costs more than your grandparents' first car, and still you're thinking, something's wrong. It's a weird crisis because it's not even a crisis. It's like your life's a perfectly good sandwich that just doesn't have any flavor left. You can't even complain about it without sounding ungrateful. Everything's fine, and that's exactly the problem. You sound like someone trying to start a fire with a wet match. See, the human brain wasn't built for fine, it was built for panic. We're supposed to be running from bears or trying to figure out if that rustle in the bushes means dinner or death. Our ancestors woke up and the first thought was, am I gonna live today? We wake up and the first thought is, why didn't my package arrive yet? We've replaced survival with convenience, danger with delivery tracking, and somehow that's made us miserable. Because when you take away real problems, we start inventing imaginary ones, just to feel alive again. We've become this species that's constantly poking itself just to see if it still feels something. You've got a perfectly good day going, and suddenly your brain's like, hey, what if everyone secretly hates you? And you're like, what? Why would they? But it's too late, now you're spiraling. That's what fine does. It gives you too much room to think. And humans left alone with their thoughts, that's the true horror movie. You know what it is? We don't know how to just be. When life's fine, it's quiet. And quiet makes us nervous. We've grown addicted to emotional noise. So we poke our peace, we stir the pot, we scroll until something makes us mad. Because at least anger feels like movement. At least it feels like something's happening. We'll even start arguments we don't believe in just to break up the stillness. It's like the emotional version of tapping the mic. Is this thing on? Am I still here? There's this strange guilt attached to being fine, too. Like if you're not struggling, you must be slacking. We live in this culture that worships hustle and chaos. If you're calm, you must not be ambitious. If you're happy, you must not be working hard enough. So we sabotage our own peace just to stay relevant to the anxiety Olympics. We'll find the tiniest crack in our happiness and start picking at it until it becomes a crisis. Because being fine feels temporary, fragile, like you're cheating at life and someone's gonna catch you. And the thing about comfort is, it's sneaky. It pretends to be a blessing, but it slowly drains your curiosity. When everything's handed to you, you stop reaching. When everything works, you stop wondering. You forget what it felt like to earn things, to wait for something, to want it so bad, it made you shake. Now, everything's immediate. You can press a button and food appears. You can swipe and meet someone new. You can type and destroy your self-esteem in 3 comments. Everything's instant except meaning. Meaning takes time, and time is the one thing we've convinced ourselves we don't have. We've made life so convenient that we've run out of excuses for unhappiness, and that's terrifying. Before, you could say, I'm sad because I'm broke, or I'm sad because I'm hungry. Now it's, I'm sad because my phone's not recognizing my face. That's not tragedy, that's a glitch. But it feels like tragedy because we've built our emotional range around trivial inconveniences. We used to fear death, now we fear a buffering icon. You ever notice how people get angry when their flight's delayed? Like it's a personal insult. You're sitting in a metal tube that's about to fly through the air at hundreds of miles an hour, and you're mad because it's gonna take 30 extra minutes to defy gravity. We've lost perspective. Life got so easy that gratitude feels old-fashioned. We don't look at running water and think, wow, that's incredible. We look at it and think, it's not hot enough. We're surrounded by miracles, and all we can do is critique the Wi-Fi speed. The truth is, we've become emotionally spoiled. We've had too many good days in a row, so now even normal feels like a letdown. It's like our happiness tolerance has gone up. We need stronger doses to feel it. New phone, new car, new trip, new distraction. And each one works for a little while until it doesn't. Then we're back to that weird emptiness, that dull ache that whispers, is this all there is? And we hate that question, because deep down we know the answer might be yes. That's the fine problem. Fine means nothing's wrong, but nothing's right enough to excite you either. It's like emotional lukewarm water. You can't even drown in it. It just gently annoys you. You can't celebrate it, and you can't complain about it, so you're stuck in this polite misery. You smile in photos, you say you're good when people ask, and you are. You are good, just not great. And maybe that's why we keep chasing something, anything that'll make us feel the extremes again. We crave drama because drama reminds us we're alive. The big emotions, the heartbreak, the fear, the euphoria, they make us feel significant. Fine feels like invisibility. You're part of the world, but not the story, so we overcompensate. We throw ourselves into new projects, new diets, new obsessions, hoping they'll shake us awake, but nothing sticks. Because you can't fix fine with more noise. You can only face it. And facing it is uncomfortable. It means sitting there and realizing that your life doesn't need fireworks to be worthwhile. It means acknowledging that peace isn't boring, it's stability. But we're not trained to see it that way. We've been sold this idea that life's supposed to be this constant highlight reel, this nonstop rise towards something amazing. So when it plateaus, we think we've failed. But maybe the plateau isn't failure. Maybe it's the view. We've forgotten the beauty of ordinary days. A quiet morning, a meal that fills you, a friend who actually listens. Those things used to mean something. Now we rush past them, chasing moments that'll look good on a screen. We're living for validation, not experience. And that's the irony. Our lives are fine because we've engineered them to be, but they don't feel fine because we've forgotten how to live in them. Sometimes, I think we just need to admit we're bored. Not depressed, not lost, just bored. And that's okay. Boredom used to be the birthplace of creativity. That's where ideas grew. Now, the second we feel it, we reach for a screen. We've trained ourselves to escape every quiet second, which means we've also trained ourselves to escape reflection. We can't hear our own thoughts because we've filled the silence with static. We underestimate how much our minds need stillness. Without it, we don't notice the small shifts, the subtle joys. You can't appreciate fine if you're constantly running from it. It's like trying to enjoy a song while skipping every note. Life's melody isn't in the highs or lows, it's in the rhythm, the repetition, the in-between. But we keep turning up the volume, hoping it'll sound more exciting, and end up deaf to the details that make it beautiful. The other thing about fine is it's fragile. You can have everything perfectly balanced, and then one tiny thing, a comment, a bill, a headline, knocks it out of alignment. Suddenly, your piece feels fake, like it was built on air, and maybe that's what scares us most. We know fine doesn't last forever, so we never really trust it. We wait for the next problem, the next reason to feel justified in our dissatisfaction. We treat happiness like a setup for disappointment instead of a moment to savor. Maybe that's why we cling to complaints. Complaining feels real. It gives us purpose. When you say everything's fine, it ends the conversation. But when you say you won't believe what happened, it invites connection. Misery bonds people faster than contentment. We're a species built on shared suffering. It's how we communicate. Fine doesn't have a story, it's static, and humans can't stand static. So here we are, with everything our ancestors dreamed of, and somehow we're still restless. Because fine doesn't challenge us, it doesn't push us to grow, it doesn't test who we are. It just exists. And that's the paradox of comfort. It gives us peace, but steals our hunger. It gives us stability, but dulls our edge. We need just enough discomfort to remember we're alive. Not pain, not chaos, just that little spark of friction that makes gratitude possible. Because maybe the problem isn't that life's fine, maybe it's that we don't know how to appreciate fine without needing it to be more. We keep trying to turn peace into excitement and contentment into achievement. But life isn't meant to be thrilling all the time. Sometimes it's just meant to be lived, quietly, simply, fully. And if you can find joy in that, you've already solved the problem. Because when you finally stop looking for the next thing to fix, the next thing to feel, you realize that fine was never the problem, it was the point. Happiness used to be simple. You'd have a roof over your head, a meal in your stomach, and someone to talk to, and that was enough to call it a good day. But now, it feels like happiness has turned into this big, complicated riddle we're all trying to solve with Wi-Fi. We don't even know what it means anymore. Every ad tells us we deserve it, every post claims someone else has it, and somehow the more we chase it, the further away it gets. It's like we're running on a treadmill made out of self-improvement slogans. We keep moving, sweating, hoping to arrive somewhere called happy, but the thing never stops. It's strange, life is better than it's ever been. We've got medicine, technology, delivery apps that bring us ice cream at midnight. We're surrounded by comfort, but not satisfaction. We're flooded with dopamine, but starving for meaning, and deep down, we know it. There's this quiet ache under everything, a little whisper that says, you should feel happier than this. That's the paradox. The more reasons we have to be happy, the more guilty we feel for not being happier. It's like happiness has become homework. You're supposed to track it, measure it, optimize it. 10 tips for being happier today. 5 morning habits of joyful people. We treat happiness like a productivity goal, like something you can hack if you just wake up earlier, meditate longer, or drink more green smoothies. But the more we try to manage it, the more unnatural it feels. You can't chase happiness like a career. It's not a task, it's a byproduct. It happens quietly while you're busy living. And yet, we don't let it. We keep comparing, scrolling, checking where we stand in this invisible race of contentment. Someone posts a beach photo, and instantly your perfectly fine day turns into disappointment. You were happy, and then someone else's happiness showed up with better lighting. Suddenly you're rethinking your entire existence because some stranger found a sunset. That's how fragile our happiness has become. It can't survive someone else's good time. We don't even trust happiness anymore. When things are going too well, we get suspicious. This is too good. Something bad must be coming. We've been burned so many times that we treat joy like a scam. It's as if happiness has a return policy. We can't even sit in a good moment without waiting for the crash. And when the crash doesn't come, we invent one. Because comfort feels weird. Being content feels unfamiliar. So we stir up drama just to restore our emotional balance. We think happiness should feel big and loud, like fireworks. But most of the time, it's quiet. It's a small, steady warmth, boring, even. But we mistake excitement for happiness. We think we're happy when we're stimulated, when our senses are flooded, when something new is happening. But that's not happiness, that's adrenaline wearing a fake mustache. When it fades, we're left emptier than before. Because now we've trained our brains to think joy only exists at the top of the roller coaster. And the world keeps feeding that illusion. Everything around us screams, more, better, faster. If you're not constantly upgrading your life, you're falling behind. You can't just have a phone, it has to be the new one. You can't just take a trip, it has to be life-changing. You can't just eat, you have to call it self-care. Every ordinary thing has to come with a deeper meaning now, like we're afraid of simplicity. We've turned happiness into a status symbol, something to display rather than feel. That's why we've got so much anxiety in a world full of convenience. We were supposed to evolve toward ease, but ease has made us restless. We're not wired for constant comfort, we need contrast. Without sadness, happiness loses flavor. Without challenge, gratitude fades. But we've padded our lives so much that even the smallest discomfort feels unbearable. A slow internet connection can ruin someone's day. A slightly awkward silence can make people reach for a screen like it's oxygen. We've forgotten that happiness isn't supposed to be constant. It's supposed to come and go like weather. The problem is, we're living in the age of permanent sunshine. We've been told we're supposed to stay positive all the time, to manifest joy, to vibrate higher. It's exhausting. Happiness has turned into a performance, a costume we wear so no one worries about us. We smile in pictures even when we're breaking inside. Because the world doesn't reward honesty, it rewards optics. People post their vacations, their promotions, their perfect relationships, and everyone claps, but no one's really connecting. Because it's not happiness we're showing, it's proof. Proof that we're okay. Proof that we matter. But real happiness doesn't need witnesses. And that's the saddest part. We've replaced feeling happy with looking happy. We don't even experience moments anymore. We document them. You're at a concert, but you're watching it through your phone. You're on a hike, but you're pausing to get the perfect angle of the view. You're with your family, but half your brain is wondering how it'll look online. We're so busy capturing life that we're missing it. And then later, when we look back at the pictures, we wonder why they feel hollow. It's because we were never really there. We've made happiness conditional. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I meet someone. It's always later, and later never comes. Because once you get the thing, your brain moves the goalpost. The when becomes another when. We keep postponing happiness to a future that never arrives. And the worst part is, it's not even our fault. We've been trained to believe happiness is the reward for achievement, not the experience of being alive. It's funny, in a dark way, our ancestors fought to survive. We fight to feel. They were grateful for food, we're disappointed when it's not. Authentic, they saw fire as a miracle, we see it as a vibe. They prayed for rain, we complain when it ruins our plans. We've turned abundance into apathy. We have everything we once dreamed of, and it still doesn't scratch the itch. Because happiness doesn't come from what we have, it comes from what we notice. And we don't notice much anymore. We're too busy refreshing. We live in this weird contradiction where everything's designed to make us happy, but all it does is remind us what we're missing. We scroll through lives we'll never live, bodies we'll never have, experiences we'll never afford, and we call that entertainment. But it's not entertaining, it's numbing. It's like we're feeding our emptiness with pictures of other people's fullness, and it never works. Because you can't outsource happiness. It's not downloadable. There's this unspoken pressure now to justify happiness, too. Like, if you're happy, you must have earned it. People look at someone smiling and go, must be nice. As if joy is suspicious. We've turned cynicism into wisdom. Like being unimpressed makes you deep. But that's just another way of avoiding vulnerability. Because happiness requires openness. It requires you to admit you care. And caring makes you fragile. So instead of feeling happy, we play it cool. We stay fine. We stay safe. But here's the thing. Happiness isn't supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be alive. It's messy and fleeting and sometimes completely irrational. It's laughing so hard you snort. It's crying at a song for no reason. It's dancing badly in your kitchen. It's not curated. It's chaotic. It doesn't need a caption. The paradox of modern happiness is that we're trying to engineer it when it's supposed to happen accidentally. We're trying to schedule wonder. We've built a culture that mistakes pleasure for joy and convenience for peace. But real happiness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from connection, from purpose, from the quiet satisfaction of knowing you're part of something bigger than yourself. And that's what we've lost. We've replaced community with followers, meaning with metrics, love with validation. We've traded the messy, unpredictable joy of real life for the safe, sterile illusion of digital approval. Sometimes I think that's why we're so tired all the time. Not because we're working too hard, but because we're pretending too much. Pretending to have it figured out, pretending to be inspired, pretending that all this progress has made us fulfilled. But fulfillment doesn't come from progress, it comes from presence. And presence requires stillness, the one thing we keep avoiding. We think happiness is out there somewhere, waiting for us in the next big thing, but it's never out there. It's right here, in this exact ordinary moment. The breath you just took, the chair you're sitting on, the people you love, the quiet space between thoughts. It's all hiding in plain sight, but we're too busy scrolling past it, waiting for something louder. The truth is, happiness isn't supposed to feel like fireworks all the time. It's more like sunlight always there, even when you're not looking. The problem is we've built walls of expectation so high, the light can barely get through. We keep waiting for the perfect conditions, perfect job, perfect body, perfect partner before we let ourselves feel it. But perfection is just another distraction. Life isn't waiting to be perfect before it becomes good. It's already good, we just forgot how to notice. So maybe happiness isn't something you chase. Maybe it's something you stop running from. Maybe it's what's left when you put your phone down, when you stop comparing, when you stop trying to earn it. It's not in the highlight reel, it's in the outtakes. It's in the small, quiet, unremarkable seconds that don't look like much, but feel like peace. Because the truth is, happiness isn't missing, we are. You ever notice how people can't just exist anymore? Like, we can't just sit somewhere without reaching for a screen, pretending to be busy. It's like the world collectively decided that silence is dangerous. We used to look around, observe, think. Now, the second there's a pause, boom, phone's out. Doesn't matter if we're at a red light, waiting in line, or walking our dog. We need to be doing something, even if that something is absolutely nothing. We've built our lives around distraction, and we call it being productive. But the truth is, we're just trying to avoid being alone with our own thoughts, because nothing terrifies us more than that. There was a time when boredom was normal. You'd sit on a bus and just stare out the window. You'd notice people, wonder about their lives, maybe think about your own. That's how imagination used to work. Boredom was the seed of it. But now, the second we feel even a hint of stillness, we panic. We think, I could be missing something. So we grab the little rectangle that's basically our emotional pacifier and start scrolling as if the next post might hold the meaning of life. Spoiler, it never does. It just keeps you busy enough to not notice that you're empty. We've mistaken stimulation for satisfaction. We think if we keep our brains buzzing, we'll feel alive. But that's like confusing caffeine with happiness. You're awake, sure, but you're not alive. You're just jittery with purpose you didn't ask for. Every ping, every notification, every ding tricks us into thinking something important just happened. But nothing's happening, nothing real, anyway. You're sitting in the same chair, staring at the same screen, refreshing the same feed. It's like emotional treadmill running. You burn all your energy and stay in the same spot. It's funny, isn't it? We created these devices to make our lives easier, and now we use them to fill every second we used to spend living. We've become allergic to downtime. We can't even eat without checking something, can't walk without a podcast, can't fall asleep without background noise. It's like our minds can't sit still, because stillness reminds us of something we don't want to face. That underneath all the noise, there's a quiet voice asking, is this it? Is this all there is? And instead of answering, we drown it in distractions. What's even worse is that we've built a culture that rewards distraction. You're supposed to multitask, optimize, stay plugged in. People brag about how busy they are like it's a badge of honor. I'm so overwhelmed has become the new I'm successful. We wear our exhaustion like achievement when really it's just avoidance dressed up in ambition. The busier we look, the less anyone notices how lost we feel. Because if you're always occupied, no one can accuse you of wasting your life, even if that's exactly what you're doing. We tell ourselves we're keeping up. But keeping up with what? With who? There's no finish line in this race. No moment where someone hands you a trophy for best at checking your notifications. We're running from silence, not toward meaning. And deep down, we know it. Because when the phone dies, or the Wi-Fi drops, or we're stuck somewhere with no signal, we feel this panic. This weird sense of exposure, like we've been unplugged from the only thing keeping us tethered to reality. But that's the trick. The thing we're tethered to isn't real. It's just noise. It's the static between actual moments of life. Distraction has become our default setting. We've made it normal to never finish a thought, to constantly switch between tabs, conversations, and ideas. We're living in mental quicksand, always moving, never arriving. Even when we're resting, we're not. We scroll to relax, we watch to unwind, but the mind doesn't rest that way. It just gets more tangled. We keep feeding it more input, hoping it'll calm down, but it's like trying to quiet a screaming baby by giving it caffeine. We've forgotten what actual peace feels like. It's almost comical how much we try to avoid ourselves. The second there's quiet, our brains go, nope, can't handle this, and reach for distraction. Because silence is honesty, and honesty is uncomfortable. It tells you things you don't want to hear. It reminds you of regrets, loneliness, uncertainty. And who wants that? It's easier to just scroll through strangers' lives and pretend you're part of something. We've outsourced reflection to entertainment. We don't have to think about our choices when we can binge another season. We don't have to face our emotions when we can drown them in endless content. But there's a cost to that. When you spend all your time avoiding your own mind, it stops being yours. You lose the ability to listen to it. You stop recognizing your own voice. That's why people feel so disconnected now, not from others, but from themselves. You can't feel grounded if you never stop moving. You can't feel alive if every moment is diluted with distraction. We're overstimulated and undernourished at the same time. There's this irony about modern life. We have more ways to communicate than ever before, yet we barely connect. We text instead of talk. We post instead of feel. We react instead of think. We've replaced real conversations with comment sections. We've traded depth for immediacy. And the scariest part, we've gotten used to it. We don't even miss it half the time, because the surface level stuff is easier. You don't have to be vulnerable when you're just reacting. You don't have to risk anything when you can just scroll past discomfort. We used to be able to sit with our emotions, even the ugly ones. Now we medicate them with content. Sad? Watch a funny video. Lonely? Send a meme. Angry? Start an argument online. Every feeling gets filtered, packaged, and shared. until it's no longer yours. We process emotions like data now efficiently, instantly, and without meaning. But emotions weren't made to be managed like that. They're supposed to be lived through, not distracted from. When you numb the bad stuff, you numb the good stuff too. And that's why life starts feeling flat. Everything's fine, but nothing's deep. It's wild how we can spend hours connecting online and still feel completely isolated. You can scroll through hundreds of faces, comments, and updates and not feel a single real connection, because that kind of stimulation isn't intimacy, it's imitation. It tricks your brain into thinking you're part of something when really you're standing outside the window looking in. That's why we can have thousands of followers and still feel invisible. The noise gives us the illusion of presence, but not the substance of it. And we don't even realize how much we depend on it. We think we're choosing distraction, but it's choosing us. Every app, every notification is designed to keep us hooked. We've turned attention, the most human thing we have, into currency, and we're broke. We trade our focus for comfort, our time for dopamine, our peace for stimulation. And in return, we get this weird half-life where everything's happening all at once, but nothing feels real. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if we all just stopped for a second. No screens, no noise, no agenda, just quiet. I think at first it would feel unbearable. We'd twitch, fidget, panic a little, because silence feels like withdrawal when you're addicted to distraction. But after a while, something would shift. We'd start hearing ourselves again. We'd notice the small sounds, the texture of life we've been tuning out. The ticking clock, the wind, our own breath. It's amazing how much we miss when we're constantly looking for the next thing. We don't realize it, but every time we fill the silence, we rob ourselves of discovery. Creativity doesn't come from chaos, it comes from space. Inspiration doesn't happen in the middle of scrolling, it happens in the pause. The best ideas, the real insights, come when you're not trying, but we never let our minds wander anymore. We leash them to endless input, and then we wonder why we feel uninspired, anxious, disconnected. We're starving our souls with overstimulation. Even our relationships suffer because of it. We can't have real conversations anymore without checking something mid-sentence. We text through dinners, reply during hugs, scroll in the middle of movies we chose to watch together. We think we're multitasking, but really, we're missing everything. We've forgotten how to look someone in the eye and just listen. That used to be normal. Now it feels intimate, almost uncomfortable, like vulnerabilities become outdated. And the saddest part is, we teach it to the next generation like it's progress. Kids don't get to be bored anymore, and boredom is how you learn to be curious. Now it's all instant gratification, entertainment on demand, feedback on demand, attention on demand. They'll grow up thinking stillness is a glitch, something to fix instead of feel. But stillness is the only thing that can remind you who you are when the noise gets too loud. Maybe that's what we're all really afraid of, not boredom, not silence, but awareness. Because when you finally stop distracting yourself, you start noticing things. You notice how tired you are, how disconnected you've become, how many of your choices were just reactions. That kind of honesty is uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of peace. We can't keep living like this, half present, half asleep, constantly chasing the next notification like it's oxygen. Because every moment we distract ourselves from the present, we give away another piece of our life we'll never get back. And it's not like the distractions are bad things on their own. It's not evil to watch shows or check your phone. It's just that we've forgotten moderation. We've forgotten how to stop. Sometimes I think the solution isn't to escape distraction, but to make friends with quiet again. To learn to sit with ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable. To notice the world instead of consuming it. Because the more we fill every second, the less we feel any of them. And maybe that's the real cost of all this noise. Not that it steals our time, but that it numbs our lives. Because when the noise finally fades, and you're alone with your thoughts, that's when the truth shows up. And maybe that truth isn't so scary after all. It's strange how obsessed we've become with upgrading everything. The moment something works, we start looking for its replacement. We can't leave good enough alone. The phone that worked fine yesterday suddenly feels like an antique today. We tell ourselves it's progress, that we're moving forward, improving our lives, becoming more efficient, but are we really? Because somewhere along the way, we started mistaking upgrades for growth. We keep changing our tools, but not ourselves. We think the new version of something will fix the same old version of us. Progress used to mean something deeper. It meant learning, building, creating things that made life better in a real human way. Now it just means smaller bezels and faster downloads. We've turned advancement into addiction. Every new product, every new app, every new update promises to improve your life, but most of the time, it's just giving you another way to avoid living it. We spend more time setting up the new thing than we do actually enjoying it. You ever notice that? You finally buy the upgrade, new phone, new car, new gadget, and for a few days, it feels amazing. Everything's sleek, shiny, fast. You tell yourself this one will make your life easier. Then after a week, it just becomes normal. It fades into the background, the excitement disappears, and you're right back where you started, except now you have another monthly payment. That's what false progress feels like. The illusion of improvement without any actual change. It's motion without direction. We live in a world that glorifies movement. The message is always, go faster, do more, achieve more. If you slow down, you're falling behind. So we keep sprinting, not realizing the finish line keeps moving. And it's exhausting because you can't win a race that doesn't end. Every time you reach one goal, the world hands you a new one. We've turned progress into a treadmill, loud, flashy, and designed to make you feel guilty for stopping. The truth is, progress has become more about appearances than substance. We upgrade our surroundings to distract from the parts of ourselves we haven't worked on. We decorate our emptiness. We renovate our boredom. We chase external progress because internal progress takes time, and time feels too slow for the world we live in. It's easier to buy new headphones than it is to listen differently. Easier to get a new job than to change how you show up to the one you already have. We keep changing environments, hoping it'll change us, but we're the common denominator in every version. Technology is supposed to connect us, but half the time it just isolates us with prettier graphics. We communicate faster, but we don't say much. We have devices that can translate languages instantly, yet we still struggle to understand each other. It's like we've engineered convenience at the cost of connection. Everything's optimized except the human part. We're surrounded by machines that anticipate our needs before we even know we have them. Our phones remind us to drink water. Our cars park themselves. Our playlists predict our mood. It's amazing and also quietly terrifying because the more these things do for us, the less we have to do for ourselves. The less we engage with our own lives, and the less we engage, the more detached we feel. We've made things so easy that meaning doesn't have room to grow anymore. You ever catch yourself complaining about something that your grandparents would have called a miracle? Like, ugh, my GPS took me the long way. Or, my streaming service is buffering. As if those are actual hardships. That's the irony of progress. It raises the floor, but also lowers our tolerance. The more comfort we have, the less we can handle discomfort. And without discomfort, we stop evolving. You can't build resilience in a world designed to remove every inconvenience. We've mistaken convenience for improvement. They're not the same thing. Just because something's faster doesn't mean it's better. Some of the best things in life take time. Conversation, learning, healing, love. None of those can be rushed, but we try anyway. We want instant everything, including meaning. We scroll through quotes about mindfulness in between push notifications and call that self-care. It's like we're trying to meditate while checking our email. We want depth, but we want it in digestible pieces. The irony is, we've made fine look incredible. Everyone's curating their progress now, filtering their lives until it looks like success. We see people online leveling up, and we think we're behind. So we start chasing that illusion, that fake version of progress that's all highlight and no struggle. We forget that real growth is messy, slow, and mostly invisible. You don't get likes for reflection. There's no app that congratulates you for learning patience. But those are the things that actually move you forward. We've turned progress into performance. We don't ask, am I becoming a better person? We ask, do I look like one? The show has become the substance. It's all metrics and milestones, followers, productivity stats, hours logged, but you can't measure fulfillment with analytics. You can't track purpose like your steps. We're trying to quantify something that can only be felt, and the more we chase that external validation, the emptier it gets. Because the kind of progress that matters doesn't show up on a screen, it shows up in how you treat people, how you handle silence, how you respond when things don't go your way. We've been trained to think evolution means advancement, but sometimes real evolution means subtraction. It's not about adding more features to your life. It's about removing the noise that blocks meaning. Maybe progress isn't about the next big thing. Maybe it's about rediscovering the simple things we already forgot how to value, like patience, presence, empathy, the stuff we used to take for granted before the world turned into an endless competition for attention. Think about it. We celebrate innovation, but we ignore introspection. We fund technology, but we undervalue humility. We're obsessed with creating things that make us faster, stronger, richer, but not necessarily better. We've designed a world where we can get anything instantly except peace of mind, because that doesn't come with a progress bar. Sometimes I think we've outsmarted ourselves. We've made everything so efficient that we've run out of reasons to pause. We've lost the friction that used to make life meaningful. It's the struggle that used to give things value. The waiting, the effort, the vulnerability. Now we skip to the end, we get the result without the journey, the reward without the lesson, and we wonder why it doesn't feel like enough. It's the same reason people upgrade perfectly good things. The thrill's gone. Not because the thing stopped working, but because they stopped appreciating it. We don't fall out of love with what we have. We fall out of presence with it. We forget to notice it. We want progress to feel like fireworks, but most of the time, it's quiet. It's subtle. It's not shiny or shareable, and that's why we miss it. Real progress doesn't happen in leaps. It happens in layers. It's not about revolution. It's about refinement. It's not about changing your world overnight. It's about paying attention long enough to see what's actually worth changing. It's about noticing your habits, your patterns, your reactions. It's about choosing awareness over autopilot. But awareness doesn't sell. Awareness doesn't trend. So we keep buying the upgrades, thinking they'll bring us the clarity we refuse to sit still long enough to find. We've gotten so caught up in making life more efficient that we've stripped it of inefficiency, the very thing that makes it human. Mistakes, delays, imperfections, those are the places where character grows. But we don't allow for that anymore. We edit everything, our photos, our thoughts, our stories, until they look perfect. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected from our own lives. Perfection is sterile. Progress that doesn't include failure isn't progress, it's denial. Maybe the reason we're so restless, even with all our advancements, is that we've forgotten what progress is supposed to be for. It's not supposed to distract us from ourselves, it's supposed to bring us closer. Technology should serve humanity, not replace it. Progress should deepen experience, not flatten it. But we're so obsessed with the next thing that we've forgotten how to appreciate the thing in front of us. And when everything's constantly improving, nothing feels sacred. We don't value permanence anymore, only potential. Everything's temporary, replaceable, disposable, even people sometimes. We swipe through humans like updates, chasing novelty over connection. That's not evolution, that's impatience with better branding. There's something beautiful about things that don't change, about moments that aren't upgraded. Sitting across from someone, actually talking, actually listening, that's timeless. No new version of anything will ever improve that. It's raw, it's imperfect, it's human. But that's the part progress can't replicate, because real connection isn't efficient. It's inconvenient and slow and vulnerable. It takes time, and that's exactly why it matters. We keep telling ourselves the future will make things better, and maybe in some ways it will. But if we don't grow along with it emotionally, spiritually, empathetically, it won't matter how advanced the world gets. We'll just be sophisticatedly unhappy. We'll have the best versions of everything and still feel like something's missing. Because what's missing isn't out there, it's in here. Maybe progress isn't about what changes around us, it's about what stays true inside us. Because when you stop upgrading everything for a minute, you realize that the most advanced thing in your life might actually be the simplest one: awareness, the ability to see clearly, to feel deeply, to be still. That's the kind of progress that doesn't need a software update, because in the end, the goal was never to have the latest version of everything, it was to become a better version of ourselves.